Hey guys, what's up? Back with another video. This time I'm going to do my WWE Bragging Rights 2010 review. This was a suggestion from my little nephew. So, for my little nephew, whose pay-per-view, this is one of his favorite pay-per-views, so he wanted me to review it as a suggestion because he recently celebrated a birthday. So, here you go, pal. I'm not going to say his name on video because, yeah, the privacy reasons, you know what I mean? You get what I mean. Anyway, WWE Bragging Rights 2010. So let's get this underway, shall we? First match, we have the champion versus champion match as the Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler battles the United States Champion Daniel Bryan. Raw versus SmackDown, of course. This, as I put in my notes here, this was a great wrestling match. Brought down by the overbearing commentary, which is a theme of this show with Michael Cole, Matt Striker, and especially Jerry Lawler, in this match because Vicky Guerrero is at ringside with Dolph, and throughout the match, Jerry just kept saying fat jokes at Vicky, and I'm like, I get it, she's a heel, but it's like, boy, out, like, you know what I mean? Like, it felt like it was very personal, like, you know what I mean? Like, he kept doing, like, fat jokes at her, and it was just not necessary, and it really was distracting from the match, which was a good match between Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan, don't get me wrong. But because of Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, like, and Matt Striker kept joining in too, they kept just making fun of Vicky, and of course, every time they made fun of Vicky, they kept, like, the camera would pan to Vicky, to get Vicky's reaction to the match, and then Jerry Lawler would make a sarky comment about Vicky's weight. I'm like, Jesus Christ, can we just get on with the fucking match already? You know what I mean? Like, can you guys actually call the action instead of making fat jokes, fat shaming, body shaming people? I'm like, fucking hell. Yeah. So that really pissed me off. So sorry about that, guys. Really pissed me off, really did, because it was just like, it was unnecessary, really unnecessary. So that really took me out of the match a lot, but, that being said, if you, Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan, they put on a really good match when the commentators weren't being very annoying. Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler put on a really good match, and, the right man won with Daniel Bryan making Dolph Ziggler tap out to the LeBell Lock, after Dolph got frustrated after he couldn't get the pinfall. So, pretty cool stuff. I just wish we had better commentators who actually did their jobs, rather than make fun of Vicky. It is what it is, just my opinion. Anyhow, next match, we had the WWE Unified Tag Team titles on the line. This is a impromptu matchup. We had Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Came out, they cutting a promo about bragging rights and how they've been a champion for over a month and they've dominated every single tag team after winning the titles a month ago. And then, the Raw Anonymous General Manager came on, which is, always great to see the fucking Raw Anonymous General Manager. And, they announced that they hadn't beaten one team, and out came the Nexus. Wade Barrett was like, hey, you haven't beaten us yet, and tonight's going to be an historic night for Nexus, and you two guys are going to take on David Otunga and the forced to join the Nexus, John Cena, who has been ordered not to fail, because apparently this was the storyline where John Cena was part of the Nexus, and Wade Barrett, the Raw Anonymous General Manager said that John Cena had to do exactly what Wade Barrett ordered him to do. So you see that later on in the night with the main event, but we'll get to that. Anyway, he ordered him to not to fail on this one, and that's exactly what doesn't happen. John Cena and David Otunga win the tag team titles here. It wasn't really much of a match. Like it was Otunga getting beaten up, then he tagged in Cena, then Cena got the advantage because he's the star, and then Cody and McIntyre only got the advantage on Cena because Otunga was a daft idiot and wanted to get tagged back in, and it distracted Cena. and then Cena basically cleared house and made Cody tap out to the STF. So it wasn't really much of a match. It could, you could have this could have happened on Raw or a SmackDown. It didn't really need to happen on the pay-per-view. And yeah, I actually like the story of Cena being forced to join the Nexus and all that stuff. But I'll get on more onto that later with the Barrett match. But yeah, I liked this. I liked the outcome. I wish that they would have kept the titles on Cena and Otunga a little bit longer than they actually did. I think they lose them the very next night on Raw to hit Nexus, where Barrett forces Otunga to lie down, and Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel win the tag team titles. So that was a shame. I wish they would have done a little bit more of that, but it was what it was. On this night, it was a very intriguing plot for John Cena to win the tag team titles with the Nexus, giving Nexus their third piece of gold in WWE. Then we had Ted DiBiase versus Goldust. Oh, this did not belong on the pay-per-view. No disrespect to Ted DiBiase or Goldust, but I was sitting there and the commentators were entertaining themselves, talking about Maurice's jewelry, and Michael Cole was actually trying on Maurice's jewelry because she put it at ringside, and anything but the match, and trying to talk about deportation because apparently Oksana was Lithuanian and they were doing a storyline where she was in NXT, but her papers weren't in order and she was going to be deported, but Goldust was going to marry her and all that crazy bollocks. And Goldust and Ted had a match because Goldust wanted the $1 million title and he stole it. So we had a match. It wasn't, it could have been, it should have been, it should have been on a C show, like, like a Superstars, like an episode of Superstars, or a Monday Night Raw, in the middle of a Monday Night Raw episode, not a freaking pay-per-view. No disrespect to Cody, Dustin, no disrespect to Goldust or Ted. And then, of course, the best part about the match is when Maurice and Oksana had a little cat fight at ringside, but they both had tight dresses on, so it was very, they tried to keep their dresses down, and that was kind of nice at the time, but that didn't last very long, and Ted got the win after a little bit of a distraction, and that after that cat fight distracted Goldust. And then Ted hit him with a DDT and pinned him. And I'm like, you couldn't even pin the guy with your finish. You had to pin him with a DDT. Like, I know Jake the Snake Roberts would probably be happy that the DDT won a match in 2010. But, yeah, it was disappointing. And then, of course, Goldust got the better of him anyway after the match. And took back continued holding the championship. So, nothing was settled and it was just a bunch of wasted time. Then we had Natalya versus Layla for the Divas Championship. What to say about this match? It was a totally waste of time. Another waste of time. Didn't belong on the pay-per-view. So Layla was the co-Divas Champion with Michelle McCool. Michelle McCool had lost, but via disqualification at Hell in the Cell to Natalya. So this was Natalya's rematch, but this time she was facing Layla. Get all that? And then the match, what it was what it was. It wasn't anything special. You could have seen it on TV like 20 freaking times. And Michelle McCool hit the big boot from the outside when the referee was distracted, and Talia got pinned. So it was what it was. Didn't really care too much about it. Then we had I saw my hands going a bit thingy. Then we had the Buried Alive match between Kane and the Undertaker. It was fine. The thing with Undertaker and Kane storylines is that the feud and the storyline is much more intriguing and much more better than the actual matches themselves. The matches themselves are usually a slog to get through. This was no different. It felt like they were going through the motions. It didn't feel like there was any intensity there. I guess that's probably because this was their third match in 2 months. Because they had one in September at Night of Champions, and then they had one at Hell in the Cell early in October, and then this was their third match in a Buried Alive match. So there wasn't really much intense to it. Didn't really want to, it didn't feel like a personal blood feud between two brothers. And then, of course, the ending was a bit of a head scratcher, considering it didn't go anywhere, where Nexus came out and helped Kane bury The Undertaker. and I think it was supposed to lead to the Undertaker coming back and facing Wade Barrett at WrestleMania, but by the time WrestleMania comes along, Wade Barrett's not in the Nexus anymore, and he's with the Core, and he's not a dominant force, so Undertaker goes after Triple H and has that classic match at WrestleMania 27. But no, I'm not talking about that. So anyway, it was fine for what it was. It's just depressing now, knowing exactly where it didn't lead to. It makes the Nexus attack very random, and I didn't like that. So it was what it was. Then we had the 14-man, the 7-on-7. I think that's 14. The 7-on-7 Raw vs SmackDown members. I'm not going to go through all the names because I'll be here all day. It came down to Ezekiel Jackson and The Miz taking on Rey Mysterio and Edge. And the match was pretty decent. It was typical elimination stuff where they basically they would eliminate each other, and the partners would stand on the apron and not do anything. And typical fast eliminations, and very easily getting eliminated. Like Rey Mysterio eliminated Ezekiel Jackson off 1-6-1-9. That was it. Anyway, it came down, then a Miz gets speared, Edge wins, and for the first time in the broadcast, the commentators actually made me laugh, where Matt Striker was celebrating SmackDown's win by standing up, thrusting his arms to his hips, back and forth, going in your face, in your face, in your face, to Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. That was pretty funny. But apart from that, the match, I don't know if this was, I think, if you take the commentary off the match of the first match between Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler, this Team Raw vs Team SmackDown match would be my second favorite match of the night. But because of the commentary and the fat jokes to the first match, this was, the Team Raw vs Team SmackDown was probably my favorite match of the night. So yeah, unfortunately that sucked. And then we had the main event, which had a lot of intrigue going in, but it kind of, knowing exactly where it was going and where it went, it's much more intriguing when it comes to fantasy booking where it could have gone rather than where it went. I felt like it was rushed. So the next match was Wade Barrett taking on Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, with John Cena at ringside in Wade Barrett's corner. And Wade Barrett at the start of the match says, I'm ordering you to help me win the match. I've got to win the match. Otherwise, you're fired. And yeah, it was what it was. And it's like, oh my God. And so the entire match is very slow. And you're just waiting for something to happen so Cena can get involved. And, the referee got bumped, and then Cena tried to get on the apron, but he was knocked off the apron. And then Nexus came out, and then Cena cleared house of Nexus, but then he realized that he only did it because the referee was getting up and he would have disqualified Barrett. And then Orton went on a rampage and went to do the RKO, but as he went to do the RKO on Barrett, Cena flew into the ring and AA'd Wade Barrett, and the commentators felt like, oh my gosh, he's turned on Barrett. And it turns out Cena was basically doing, he found a loophole in Wade Barrett's order. Basically because he said, make sure I win the match. So technically, Wade Barrett won the match by disqualification. But he didn't win the WWE title. So that was the loophole that he thingy. Pretty cool stuff, the babyface outsmarted the heel, but it was kind of a lame way to end the show with a lame DQ, like, oh, he outsmarted the heel, so Randy Orton is still the WWE champion. Randy Orton stood tall after RKO and Cena and Barrett at the end, and everything was right with the world. I wish they would have extended this. Like, I wish they would have had Cena be with the Nexus a little bit longer than he actually was, because it's at the next pay-per-view after this, Survivor Series, where they do the free or fired match where Cena's the referee, and Cena gets fired for WWE for a day, and then he basically torments Wade Barrett until they have their match at TLC, which was what it was. But the less I say about that, the better. It was a wasted opportunity, for Cena joining Nexus and all that stuff. It had its potential and they ruined it. Of course they did. And, that's it. So anyway, guys, there's my review of Bragging Rights 2010. I gave it a 3 out of 10. Sorry, nephew, but it was what it was. Anyway, that's it now, guys. I'll see you guys in a bit.